People are waiting longer and longer to say, I do. And in a lot of cases these days, student loan debt is playing a role. According to the Pew Research Center, a record number of people have never married. The average woman is 27 when she's married. The average man is 29. Let's talk about this with Jim Lowell, Chief Investment Officer at Advisor Investments. And Jim, young people in their 20s delaying marriage, and you can understand why when you look at what you may inherit.
Well, yeah, debt and more of it. Really a staggering debt load facing today's college graduates, no question about it. That may or may not have a large part to do with that increasing age of when they get married. It may also have to do with a lot of college students. A BA just simply won't cut it. They go out for a master's, they go out for a PhD. They just keep piling on that debt in the bid to get a better job, better life.
Yeah, that debt becomes yours, mine, and ours ultimately, right?
Indeed.
Let's talk about student loan as far as, you know, we have numbers down in the housing sector, first-time home buyers. You got to think that plays a role in that as well, or any major purchase.
Very interesting to see what may be, in fact, a secular shift among a whole generation of potential home buyers. Part of it may have to do with the extraordinary amount of debt burden they're carrying on their shoulders. The other part may be that the younger workforce knows they need to remain mobile for as long as possible in order to secure the jobs that there are.
And those jobs, oftentimes when they're getting them, when they first get out of school, aren't paying as well as other jobs.
No, and this is a generation that's going to have to learn, as we did. I'm sure you did yourself.
Sure.
I certainly did coming out of college. One job is likely not going to cut it. You're going to have to do one or two. You're going to have to patchwork it together, but that's not exactly how you build a marriage proposal.
What about people who still want to go through with it? Want to take the plunge, want to be married, understand they have debt? What's your best advice for them?
Well, first of all, understand each other's debt and what you're bringing to the table in terms of the deficit, and make sure that you have the wherewithal in terms of the jobs that you have to be able to pay that debt off. And one of the highest rates of stress in a marriage is going to be anything to do with financing. So you don't want to open up that first door with a lot of unexpected debt on your hands. So be completely transparent and honest.
How can the economy recover with this much debt on the books?
It's a good question, but any study that I have seen still suggests that a college degree brings you out with a net positive $500,000 or more relative to those who don't have a college degree. But as the debt continues to increase, the burden continues to increase, look, we're going to have to advocate not just for politicians and a political solution. Take it to the universities, take it to the colleges. They keep rising their rates, 6% per annum. I know of no other industry in this world that's able to do that.
It is amazing, but it's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
How do you go about going after the universities and saying, you know what, I'm not going to sign on the dotted line with you? They say, fine, I'll take the next applicant.
Yeah. Well, one way is through the political will. The other way is just supply and demand. I bet we see a lot of universities begin to struggle, especially below the top tier, just trying to fill that student pool, which they've been able to do in the past. But at these prices, it's going to be increasingly difficult.
Near term, while I have you right here, I want to talk about the Dow today fell off a cliff. Yes, and a lot of people worried about a global economic slowdown, but that's going to have implications, obviously, here. It already has, as far as today's numbers are
No
concerned.
question about it. But if you look at the peak on the Dow, so including today's losses, we're down just a little bit more than 3% from the peak, which was just a couple of weeks ago. I fully expect a good 10 to 15% correction in the broader markets. We are statistically long overdue for it. But as long as it's driven by fear, so geopolitical risk events as opposed to fundamentals, slowing economic data, weaker jobs data,
which is
things
how
that
we
we
got into
haven't
the
seen.
recession.
That's right. But we are in the U.S. Still on the mend. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, downgraded its outlook for global growth, but maintained their upward guidance on U.S. growth.
Very good. We'll leave it at that and hope we can figure out something as far as the college loan goes.
We just have to keep coming back to it.
A lot of people having a hard time with that one, and it doesn't look like the future is going to get bright anytime soon. Jim Lowell, Chief Investment Officer at Advisor Investments. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks.